So the Miami Heat have finally traded Jimmy Butler, and it is the Golden State Warriors that end up landing him. The full trade is that Jimmy Butler goes to the Warriors. The Heat get Andrew Wiggins, Dennis Schroeder, Kyle Anderson, and a protected first-round pick. And after a couple more trades, the Heat end up with these guys right here: Andrew Wiggins, Kyle Anderson, and Davion Mitchell, who is a very Heat culture player who I know a lot of fans and definitely Eric Spoelstra will love to play in the rotation. But to say the least, man, this is a relief. I'm glad that Jimmy Butler's off this team. I want to say right from the start, I think that the Heat are trade deadline winners with who they ended up with and who they gave away, being only Jimmy Butler. Um, I know that we gave up Jimmy Butler, but we're not talking about the Jimmy Butler that led the Heat to multiple Eastern Conference Finals and to Finals appearance. We're not talking about the Jimmy Butler that had 53 versus Milwaukee or the Jimmy Butler that had 47 versus Boston. We're talking about a guy who was a distraction for the team all season long, and one that came out and said, "I want to be anywhere but Miami." And honestly, it was understandable. He's been here since what, 2019, so that it had been 6 years. We've been in every single rumor for a superstar, not a superstar, a star to put beside Jimmy Butler. Kevin Durant, Donovan Mitchell, Bradley Beal, Victor Oladipo for the past 7 years before he got hurt and actually got traded here. But we never got any of them. So obviously that was a big disappointment for Heat fans and for Jimmy Butler. The biggest guy we got was Kyle Lowry, and obviously he was a starting point guard for us and also came off the bench for that run back in 2022 when we lost in Game 7 of the Eastern Conference Finals. But after that season, he didn't really do much, right? So it makes sense that he wanted to leave, and I was fine with him coming out and saying that he wanted a trade request, right? Anywhere but Miami. That's a normal trade request. We see a ton of NBA players do it. Most recently, Donovan Mitchell out of Utah or Damian Lillard out of Portland. But you can't say I want to be anywhere but Miami and then do what Jimmy Butler did. It was so unprofessional and such a distraction towards the Heat. Right, he said Jimmy Butler said, "I want to be anywhere but Miami." So the Heat say, "Okay, we're thinking about trading you to Memphis." He says, "No, I don't want to go there." They say, "We're thinking about trading you to the Bucks." "No, I don't want to go there either." And then when they brought up the Warriors to him, he said, "No, I'm not going to re-sign with them." Obviously, that what ended up happening. But he basically tried to play hardball and force his way to the Suns. And it's just so unprofessional. You cannot come out and say, "I want to be anywhere but Miami," and then force your way to a certain team. But moral of the story, like I said, you're not trading the Jimmy Butler that was a superstar for the Miami Heat over the past couple of years. You're trading a guy who was a distraction to the team and one that did not want to play here. He's a disgruntled player. There's no reason to have him on the roster. So the fact that they traded him out of Miami is already a win for the Heat. It's already a win. That already puts them in the winners category because you trade away distraction and a guy that nobody really wants to be around, especially when he's acting like this. But now talking about the return. I really like it. I really, really like it. Like I said, at first it was Andrew Wiggins, Kyle Anderson, Dennis Schroeder, and a protected first-round pick. That protected first-round pick is for this year. So the Miami Heat added a pick that we can trade this summer at one point if we want to around the draft time. And other than that first-round pick, Kyle Anderson is a okay rotational player. I'm pretty sure he's going to get traded or bought out maybe in a couple days. I know that they were trying to get him to Toronto, but that portion of the deal fell through. Andrew Wiggins is a guy who's been playing better than Jimmy Butler this season and was a huge part of the Warriors' 2022 finals run, taking home that championship. And he was a big, big part of that. I think he averaged 22 or 23 points in that final series versus the Celtics. He's going to be a big part of this team, obviously taking over that starting small forward spot that Jimmy Butler left, and also in that number 22 that Jimmy Butler left, although I do think it could be retired in the next couple of years. But that's for a whole nother video. Davion Mitchell, man, like I said at the very start of the video, I would not be surprised if he ended up starting in a couple of days or weeks. The thought of Tyler Hero scoring next to Davion Mitchell's defense is a very, very scary thought that I know Eric Spoelstra is going to love the idea of. But now we're talking about a potential starting roster of Davion Mitchell, Tyler Hero, Andrew Wiggins, Bam Adebayo, Khalil Ware. And if we swap in Haywood Highsmith for Tyler Hero, that is arguably the best defensive lineup in the NBA that you can make possible from any team's lineup. It's pretty crazy, but I'm excited to see what the Heat can do. Overall, I like the trade for Miami. I think that, like I said, trading away Jimmy Butler is already a win, and the fact that you're getting back an all-star level player in Andrew Wiggins, as well as an all-defensive level player in Davion Mitchell and, a rotational guy in Kyle Anderson plus a first round pick, I think that you can consider the Miami Heat winners at the trade deadline, and I'm excited to see what this team can do towards the end of the year. And as for Jimmy Butler and the Golden State Warriors, we'll see what happens with them, man. The Warriors did not look good last night in LA. Or the game might have actually been in Golden State, but they played the Warriors. They played the Lakers last night. LeBron went off. I think he ended the game with like 40 points or something, almost 20 assists. It's really, really crazy to see him do that at his age. But Steph Curry didn't look good. Steph Curry did not look good. It's looking like we traded for the Warriors' best player with Andrew Wiggins. But it's going to be interesting to see what Steph Curry can do with Jimmy Butler. Obviously, Jimmy Butler and Draymond Green in that locker room is something that a lot of fans are going to want to see. Not Warriors fans, but other NBA fans are going to want to see how those two mix in the locker room. I'm excited to see what happens with the Miami Heat. I think that they can make a push for the playoffs now. I know that we're in a position right now to make the play-in or maybe slightly above it in the 6th seed. It's a very competitive Western Conference out there, and the East also got a little bit, not tougher, but, the East isn't crazy tough, but it's crazy how, certain these teams are, how similar they are in levels and competitiveness. But it's going to be a fun second half of the season for the playoff push. All-Star Weekend's coming up. I know Hero's performing in the game, and of course the three-point contest. I'm very excited to see that. And yeah, man, like I said, the Heat are winners at the trade deadline, and I'm very, very excited to see what this team can do in the second half of the season.